Okay, cool. All right. This is our virtual forum. John Williams is the VP of the Trailhead up in Winter Park in BV, Colorado. If you don't know me, my name is Ben. I'm the intramural adventure coordinator for Red Rocks. And yeah, John, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate the view on the deck where you're sitting right now.
Yes. Yep.
Is that Sleeping Indian behind you?
Yep, it is.
Sweet.
Yes. Yeah, right there.
Gorgeous. It's perfect. Cool, man. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about the Trailhead.
Yeah, so the Trailhead was founded in 1972, and it's on its third owners right now. It's on its, I think, third location in Buena Vista. And the most recent owner kind of took it over and kind of wanted to bring it up to modern standards and retail. And so I started about 8 months before it moved to its location where it is now, the State Highway Department building on Main Street in Buena Vista. And
it's noon in BV, so that's
noon in BV. Yeah, sorry about that. My apologies.
That's fine, dude.
And so, yeah, it's grown a lot over the last couple of years in Buena Vista. It's had some great success. It's helped provide jobs for a lot of people in town. And we've been looking at either acquiring or starting a second location somewhere else. And through some connections, Winter Park ended up being kind of the right spot with the right time. And that town's about to grow quite a bit. And we decided to try to get in early and found a good location. In Buena Vista, we share a space with a restaurant. And in Winter Park, we share a space with a coffee shop. And we opened Winter Park about 10 months ago, so in November. And we like the shared location aspect, 2 ways to bring people in the door. It gives somebody an experience. It helps the restaurant out, helps people discover the restaurant when they come in for gear, and it helps people discover the gear shop when they want to eat food. And so people really, I think it's a great thing to do in mountain towns where rent can be kind of expensive. It's a good way to kind of cut overhead and basically split utilities and things like that. And when the restaurant's busy, we're usually slower and vice versa. So it feels steady. And yeah, so that's kind of the Trailhead in a nutshell. We sell soft goods, so clothing, accessories, camping equipment, sleeping bags, pads, backpacks. We have a pretty sizable footwear wall in both locations, and we've been really seeing some great traffic in that business has been doing very well for us recently. And yeah, so lots of just kind of camping equipment, but the goal is to kind of be able to outfit you for most any adventure. So
nice. And full disclosure for anybody watching this now or later, John and I worked together at the Trailhead for a while. We've also skied together, biked together. He's seen me fall rock climbing countless times, so he has so much dirt on me. So
Ben hired me at the Trailhead.
That's yeah, years ago. And then John just took it to completely the next level because he understands spreadsheets way better than I do. So how would you describe your customers at the Trailhead, either in BV, Winter Park, or both? Like, what kind of people come into the Trailhead? What are they looking for? Who do you serve?
So this is the golden question that we try to figure out every day. But there's a lot of multi-answers to this. In Buena Vista, it took some time, but when you walk in the store, there's a lot of inventory and there's a widespread variety. And so it took a while for people to learn that we are reliable and that we have product. And that's kind of the big thing you have to really prove when you're working with locals. and showing that we can special order for them, kind of letting them in when we're doing sales a few days early, so they can kind of have first dibs and build that loyalty with our locals. You know, in Buena Vista, I'd say our locals are anywhere from Leadville to Salida and in between. We have a lot of full-time people in the valley that travel the valley to shop with us. Then we have our weekenders, second homeowners that come up 2 to 4 times a month, and we're their like local gear shop. They could have that in Denver, but I think they like the feel of having kind of their you know, brewery in the mountains, their house in the mountains, their shop in the mountains. And then we have our people that come up from Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas 2 times a year or once every other year, or every year. And you know, those customers are the ones that show up and they're like, hey, like last year you told us how to do Yale. We had a great experience. We're going to go to Princeton. What, you know, like what's new? Or I need to buy my son a pair of hiking boots. And every year he's going to get one thing when, you know, we come out here. And so in Winter Park, we're still kind of learning. I'd say the customer is a little bit different. It's a little more in BV. If you travel here, there's not a lot of hotel rooms, so most people camp.
Mhm.
And so it doesn't matter if you're driving a really nice car or like a old school van. It doesn't really matter what your income is. You're camping, and that's cool. Winter Park, there's a lot more infrastructure, a lot more housing, so we're seeing a little more lifestyle driven. People are all staying in Airbnbs. Lots of traffic from coming the southwest entrance exit of National Park, kind of doing that loop. And but yeah, we're about to finish up year 1. We'll have full year of data to really dive into and figure out who's buying what, where their zip codes from, and but yeah,
So
does that kind of answer it?
yeah, so when you're dealing with your customers, it sounds like there's kind of three sets of data points or 3 things you really need to understand
Yep.
or kind of focus on when you're working with them. Like the first is just like the relationships
Yep.
with, you know, not only your locals, but the people who come every year or like the repeat customers, but they're from somewhere else. And so just like kind of establishing those relationships, mentoring people, sort of thing.
Yep.
Second one is understanding uh, like the local versus out of state crowd and what they need, like the tourist base versus your locals, and then how do you cater to both of them kind of
Yep.
at the same time with your product spread. And then you also have to understand income levels too, because you know your typical day-to-day customer, your local isn't going to have as much income or as much expendable income as somebody who's coming from like New York City who owns a
Yep.
second house, right?
Yep.
So how
For
do you
sure.
balance all 3 of those things? Like when you're working with your staff or like when you're working with your customers, like how do you train them to like, you know, here's how you do excellent customer service while also understanding like the needs are going to be different based on who you're working with.
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I think it starts with just, you know, at the Trailhead, we kind of have a slogan, you know, go there, but start here, or, you know, relationships through retail. And I think as long as we kind of preach that, drive that um, into our staff's, you know, mind through training, if that's always their goal, then their goal is always like, hey, how's it going? Where are you headed to next? And setting them up for success, whether they're walking down the river or they're going to do 14er and they're trying to leave at noon, and it takes some patience and some education. You're like, no, don't start right now. And just treating everybody the same and trying to be authentic with them. You know, if they're buying a pair of Hokas to go walk around the river because they want to feel cool and be comfortable, or if they're going to run an ultra the next day, it doesn't matter. Like, we need to treat them the exact same. And we do have a lot of repeat customers. We have a lot of people that, hey, we come here every year and we've been doing it for almost, you know, 50 years. And you're like, wow, that's cool. And it's fun to ask them stories. And so it's, I guess we try to teach, it's less about like what of the 3 types of customers they are, the local, the weekend warrior, the 1 to 2 times a year. It's more about just helping them have a great outdoor experience for wherever they're going to next, making sure they're outfitted. What's their kit look like? Do they have, do you have water filter? Helping them think through wherever they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, we have great retention. Our top 200 customers on average come in 9 times a year. So it's
nice.
pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So kind of talking about your employees, we touched on that a little bit in your training and stuff. How many people do you employ? What does their training kind of look like from they just get hired to like they feel comfortable in their job? And then I'll ask the next question in just a few minutes.
Yeah. So right now in Buena Vista, we have, I think, about 5 full-time and about the same in Winter Park. In the summer in BV, we'll have anywhere from 10 to 12. And then in Winter Park during the summer and then during the winter, where it's a larger business for us there, we'll have probably about 8. And then we've really kind of expanded it into having a lot of locals that are trained up, that can trade shifts, that they may work on average a day to 4 days a month throughout the winter. And that kind of allows our full-time staff to be able to take breaks. And these locals that we kind of keep on call, it takes a lot of time to invest and train in them, but they're local ambassadors. They're out on the trails, riding their bikes daily, kayaking, like they know the area. And that's one of the biggest things. That's probably the most difficult thing to train is if somebody's coming from outside the valley, it's where do you go? What are you going to do? If somebody walks in, they're like, hey, show me a 3-day backpacking trip on a loop. Like, can somebody just pick that out on a map and show them?
Yeah.
And so our training, we've kind of broken it out into different days and different reviews for your first couple weeks. It's pretty easy. Somebody can spend 10 minutes and they know how to check somebody out, but we spend a lot more time on our processes, our systems, why we do things the way we do them, efficiencies, everywhere from restocking to customer interactions to rewards program, just kind of how our day progresses throughout the day at a shop. And so there's about 5 days of training with different checklists for the store manager to go over as they're training. And honestly, right now we're entering a season where I have more time to do projects and stuff, and we're working on building out like a continuation training. So internal clinics for somebody on staff to go to a different store, new face, and say like, hey, we're gonna spend 2 hours on footwear. Like, let's just learn about footwear. We have the vendors we work with, we have reps that come through, not so much obviously this year, but they come through and do clinics, but it's all vendor and brand specific. And so we're going to start taking the next step and have like, here's our sleeping bag training, here's our pack training, here's our footwear guide, here is our rewards program and how to talk about it. And really, all this isn't just to put more stuff on our staff, but it's more to give them more confidence, hopefully sooner. When I remember my first couple of weeks in retail and somebody's like, hey, tell me about the shoe. And I'm just like, you just don't know. And it's, the goal is that we can help our staff become more confident in their role to help serve our customer base, to have a great outdoor experience, and hopefully give them the means to start building that relationship with somebody.
Yeah. So what, as kind of a small brick and mortar, like a physical store with 2 locations in the mountains, like how do you differentiate yourself from like the bigger online retailers like backcountry.com or even REI that has physical locations but they have such a massive presence? Like how do you stay competitive, and how do you compete with that, and how do you differentiate yourself?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways to answer this. I mean, one, just straight to the point, we're a destination town, and people want to go on a destination, a weekend away, um, whatever it is for them. They want an experience, and they can either go buy a black down Patagonia puffy at REI 2 blocks down from the house, or go up to the mountains for a weekend, realize they need one, buy one in the mountains. They've been saving for this event or this vacation, so they have money to save that they've saved, and they're willing to purchase and support us. And it's more fun when you go back down the hill to Denver or wherever, and they're like, "Hey," your buddy's like, "Where'd you get that jacket?" If you just say, "Oh, next door to REI," or like, "Oh, bro, you got to go check this place out in Buena Vista. It's so cool." Like, there's a story to that purchase and to that item, and every experience, whether it's canyoneering, and slot canyons, like they're gonna, "Oh, I love these boots. Like, I'm glad I got them at this destination town." And so I think in some ways it's almost a little easier at times to sell. It's just where it's a little more unique is that these larger companies have the ability to run sales when we can't. They have the ability to maybe do bigger returns, or people kind of expect us to take anything back, but we're not REI, and we did our best to try to outfit with them with what we thought they wanted. And that's where we really have to rely on our vendors to help support us in some of those questions. But that's where those big box stores, those bigger companies with more buying leverage, they can do off pricing, they can do all these different things. We get either responses of, "Hey, you have great stuff," or "Your stuff's all overpriced." Our price is the same as New York City, LA, or Twin Falls, Idaho. It's Patagonia decides what the price is, and that it's standardized, and that's how it is for every company. And so we do deal with that sometimes, and it's just like either trying to help educate them or just saying, "Yeah, sorry." But it's the last season has been interesting because the small brick and mortar shops in the Front Range have been struggling. The mountain town ones have been struggling to keep up, and online sales have just been booming. It's been talking to UPS, FedEx guys, some friends at Backcountry. Every day is Christmas Day, Christmas week, and for shipping. So we're really blessed to be in a mountain town and kind of have some of that destination feel, because everybody wanted to get out of the city once quarantine was kind of lifted. But at that point, it's more about how do we take care of our staff, because they're front line. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Kind of along those lines too, what would you say? I mean, so it's kind of a unique situation that we're in with COVID right now, with your employees working so much. It kind of leads me to the question of like, what kind of economic impact do you see your shops having on the local communities as an employer, as like an economic driver, as a member of promoting those communities? What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, I think both of our locations, they're both in great high traffic areas, and so growth is probably inevitable there. And it's been pretty cool to see that, like, looking at payroll and you're like, wow, we just pay like 22 people this month. That's pretty cool. And they're either going to be here for a while, or it's going to be a part-time, or it's right for their season of life right now. But it's definitely impacted. Definitely Buena Vista. We're still kind of getting there in Winter Park, but I think it's helped create, a core brand on Main Street in a mountain town. And it's, yeah, I think it creates a good experience, and the more people that come through, the more tax revenue, like it's creating jobs, and it's providing a way for people to live in a mountain town where they want to. And that's not a remote tech job,
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Cool. So I want to talk, thanks for that. That's awesome to get kind of the big picture of what your customers look like and sort of the big things. Now trying to zoom in a little bit. For you in particular, like your professional position as the VP of like a brick and mortar outdoor store, like what does your day to day look like?
Yeah, different every day.
Mm,
I had my week planned this week, and then it completely changed. And I'm in Buena Vista right now, help covering receiving inventory and getting product out on the floor before the weekend, due to some things that happened this week. And so it's kind of different every day, and it's kind of different per season. I just wrapped up spring buy for next year for shipments arriving January 1st through July 31st or June 30th, depending on the vendor. Before that, I was racing to find inventory every day because everybody was late on shipping and fulfillment was off, and they couldn't fulfill pre-seasons due to shipping from Taiwan or wherever the product's coming from. And so this year's kind of been all over the place. But typically my week, we have a all staff or leadership meeting on Wednesdays. So I usually prep for that. I usually look at revisions on orders incoming, a lot of inventory management. I work with both our store managers and supporting them and whatever needs they need, from hiring to processes to updating day-to-day roles. And then we have 2 inventory managers, one at each location. I work a lot with them on purchase order building and special orders, incoming orders, warranties. And then I work with the owner on kind of big picture. Where do we want to go next? What are the numbers looking like? Where do we need to make adjustments kind of on the big picture scale, from staffing to inventory, labor cost, all that.
yeah.
So a little bit of everything. And just, I think I've done about every role. So I try to just say, hey, like, if you ever need anything, just let me know. I'll help, like, support you guys. Or if we get slammed for an hour, I can come over and help. But yeah.
Nice. So yeah, just for simplifying the explanation for anybody watching, like as far as ordering and stuff like that goes, basically it's like, say Patagonia has all of their, like, hey, this is the stuff we're gonna have for next year, right? And then you go in, basically meet with Patagonia, and they say, like, hey, here's the things we think would work for you. And then you put it in an order from them, they ship it to you, and then you put it out on the floor and sell it to customers. So like that's kind of, just to simplify for anybody watching, that's kind of the process that pretty much every retail organization goes through. So
Yeah, usually buy 6 to 8 months out, and then there's inventory available for at once purchasing, in season fills, and then they have a percentage that they forecast based off nationwide expectations from those preseasons, and they have a allotment to the side for their website or their direct to consumer. And sometimes stuff will be live on the website, and the customer wants to support us, and I can't get that color because that's in a different department. But it's kind of weird that we have to order so far out, but it really helps us plan. And yeah, and we're able to run budgets off of all of that and whatnot.
yeah. So a lot of us just kind of looking into a crystal ball and just kind of guessing, like, hey, I think this is what the weather's going to do.
Yeah.
I think this is what's going to be popular. This is the color that people are probably going to want to wear.
Yeah.
And then just ballparking a lot of that, right?
Yeah, and it's fun. Like, Patagonia's, we can keep kind of talking about them, but every year, whenever the new catalog drops and start looking at the website, like, they always have some funky items. You're like, that's cool, or that's unique, or maybe I should buy it because I'll probably never make it again. I try to bring in a lot of those things because people walk in and like, oh, I've been viewing that on the website. I want to see it in person, but Denver Patagonia store doesn't even carry it. Why do you have it? I'm like, because it's cool. It's weird. And I try to keep some uniqueness in that, and try to have that uniqueness through all of our brands.
So then, this is a fun question. What is the dumbest thing you've ever purchased for the Trailhead? Be like, oh man, I got to get some of these, and then they just sat there and no one bought them.
I don't know. I bought some like weather blankets a couple years ago, and you had to buy a case of like 12, and I think we still have 11. Um,
So
there's some
weather
fun,
blankets?
yeah, like it's like a thicker tarp blanket with oil and yeah.
Nice.
There's um, yeah, mostly unique stuff sells. I mean, there's always just funky stuff from Kavu or Cotopaxi that's um, yeah. I mean, there's a couple footwears that just haven't hit, but
Yeah.
they're not too radical. But
This is why you're an infinitely better manager than I was, because I bought many, many things that were stupid that just sat there. So, so
yeah.
many dumb things. So yeah, what parts of your job do you love? What parts do you not love? What would you change about your job if you could?
Um, I mean, I like most of it. There's some days where like I just came out of a season where it was 6, 7 days a week ordering for next spring, and I want to go ride my bike. And I'm like, why am I ordering 9 months out? And those are kind of some of the things where you're on spreadsheets, looking at data and doing that for 45 days straight. And that kind of gets overwhelming and kind of exhausting at times. And but it's fun then 9 months later to see it come in or be like, oh, I forgot I even ordered this. This is awesome. Or like, what was I thinking? uh, but no, that's kind of some of the fun part. And it's fun to try to like bring, like when you're filling in season, you get it in by Thursday, Friday, you place the order on Monday, and to see it move that weekend is kind of fulfilling and kind of cool. It's but yeah, we've just gone through a pretty big growth phase, so I'm kind of getting used to my new role. um, we kind of redid our organization chart, and I now have people kind of working under me at both stores that are really hands-on with the inventory, and so that's going to help a lot and help me kind of stay big picture, stay within budgets on certain categories, and really be able to spend time on buying in ways that merchandise better. But as far as things I don't like, I, I mean, it kind of fits well with my personality. It's kind of a go, 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 go. And then there's times where uh, I'll be able to take a couple weeks off in October and go play. So,
Nice.
and then I'll come back, kind of revise some stuff for November, December, January, and then I'll go straight into buying for next fall, starting around December, January. So
it's really seasonal swings that kind of keep you going. And
yeah, it is. And these kind of slower times are good times to kind of review our day to day. What does labor look like? Let's review the summer. Are there areas where we can hire more, or do we need to hire less, or do we need to spend more time just on training? And as we kind of where we started at the beginning, like really empowering our staff to be able to work the front lines and outfit people. So
nice. So what would you say? I mean, we talked about looking into the crystal ball. Like, what would you say the future of outdoor retail looks like? Like, where's it going? What's happening?
yeah, it's interesting when I talk to other owners or buyers in the Front Range, and I think they have a very different opinion than I do, because it's just kind of different but similar markets. And where they are just getting hounded by backcountry.com, REI, the e-com world, it doesn't really affect us. And so, but we do need to try to stay relevant, and um, we try to create a cool experience. So I think if we ever open again or expand, we want shared space concept. We want two different businesses together because it creates an experience, and it's unique and it's memorable. And so I think a lot of stores right now in the Front Range are really trying to look at, with the boom of camping over the last 9 months, what does that look like for this winter? Are skis going to be sold out by October? Are snowmobiles, just like we saw, vans, campers, tents? I couldn't keep sleeping bags in stock in BV. It was crazy.
Oh,
And I think I've seen a couple stores in the Front Range or in larger cities move towards rental programs. Oh, you're flying in from, Atlanta, you're going up to BV, you go backpacking, you can stop by and we'll rent you a Big Agnes tent, pad, and bag and a backpack. And so they're trying to catch people as they come on their way into the mountains and outfitting them from a rental standpoint. And then if they like it, they can buy it, at the end of the experience or buy a new one. We're also seeing some shops try e-com. E-com's tough. You have to have inventory space. And there's a couple shops based off their layouts and how their internal systems are laid out with inventory. They can do it and they can do it pretty well and it makes sense. And then there's some shops that try it and they just bomb. But you have to be committed and you have to have a lot of overhead and inventory.
yeah.
But
Just a giant warehouse full of boxes of stuff that hopefully you can sell.
Yeah, or you make your floor, your sales floor, the warehouse.
Mhm.
But then you have to, when that order comes in, you can't run out. Somebody's checking out with that last sleeping bag. And so putting rails on your website where once it hits 2, it says it's 0,
Yeah.
But big box stores, they're going to have to get creative, continue curbside, but they have a large retail space with a lot of inventory it's a little bit harder to manage customers in that type of setting.
Yeah. From a big picture perspective, do you see like down the road, do you see more jobs being available in outdoor retail? Do you see less? Do you see it staying steady, like kind of based on what you've seen from the industry as a whole?
Yeah. So, it'll have to be more jobs will be created in towns that are underdeveloped right now. Towns that are take Breckenridge right now. There's no open lots. It's maxed out. Let's say a new shop does open, Patagonia or Black Diamond, they're not going to open another vendor because they have 4 or they have 5. So it'll be more about what towns is there availability to open a store that vendors will allow you to carry their product where it's not maxed out. In BV, if somebody tried to open a shop right now, I don't know if they would be allowed to carry any vendor that we carry or the kayak shop carries because they don't want oversaturation. They've built these relationships. They're investing in us and they don't want to oversaturate. Winter Park, there are a few stores there. But we kind of saw there's a few stores that do a lot of bike and ski rentals and they do a little bit of soft goods. And we decided to go, let's go in there and just do soft goods. Let's just do accessories. We'll sell avalanche beacons and probes and stuff, but we won't sell skis, or we'll sell helmets, but we won't sell, actual skis, and we're more supporting those activities and those sports. But there wasn't a great soft goods presence. And so when we went to our vendors, like, yes, please open. Like, it's been kind of a black hole of retail for what we sell. And so that was kind of the last big town without a major presence with a brand like Patagonia. If Rifle blows up or if Del Norte or something like that, then that's where I could see some jobs growing. But I don't know. I think I'll kind of stay steady because really, if I wanted to go open a shop in Avon, I'd have to buy one, to get those vendor relationships. So I don't know if I really answered your question, but I think we'll see some growth maybe in guiding, maybe more experience-based activities.
Yeah. Or do you see like more employment opportunities with the brands themselves as they expand? Because I know one of the reasons I asked this question is because I know that the outdoor industry is basically part of our GDP now in the United States, and a huge industry. They've figured more and more people are playing outside. So I'm just like wondering where are those jobs going to be created, or are they going to be created?
I think
brands, is it with retailers, is it with like guiding companies, like you said?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot in guiding and experience based. I think we'll see continued growth and from the vendor side. And, a lot of those vendors just did a ton of layoffs over the last 6 months, and I think you're going to have to start hiring back. Where we were able to hire up, get back up to our numbers and more, they're going to have to hire back up those inside people they laid off that were doing warranties, that were helping in distribution. And then I think we're going to see brands continue to grow, from small brands like Flylow to large ones like Patagonia and VF. I know has brought a lot of jobs to Denver recently, and I'm sure they're about to. Everybody's a little nervous right now. They're all trying to kind of make enough money where if things shut down again, that they can make it through again without PPP or government help.
Yeah.
But I think we will see, probably once there's a vaccine, or probably at least before next summer, a decent need for staff. And there's a lot of Colorado-based companies that I think will be hiring pretty soon.
Nice. It's good to know. So kind of getting into the gritty detail now, like tell us a little bit about your personal journey to get to this point. I guess starting with the education piece, like what kind of education have you gotten and how has that helped now?
Yeah, so I grew up in Arkansas. I went to a very small little school there called Washita, and I studied business management and finance. My first real job, I started a company when I was 16 mowing lawns, and I did that for 4 years, passed it off to my brothers. They ran it, and then they've passed it off to some others, and it's still going, which is kind of cool. Should have sold it, but it is what it is.
Yeah. You just have a stake in it now or something.
Yeah.
Passive income.
That's right. But I grew up in Arkansas, camping, fishing, my whole life, and coming out to Colorado for family vacations every summer. And I was in college, I started working actually in Buena Vista at a rafting and backpacking company. And then I did a semester at Knowles my junior year of college. And so I was studying business at school, and then kind of honing in my outdoor skills during the summers and on weekends. And when I graduated, I had an option to go work at a bank in Arkansas, or a coffee company. And I chose to move to Colorado, and I wanted to ski in the winter. And the company, the guiding service that I worked at in Buena Vista, they had a full-time job, and eventually ended up being their business manager there for a year. And through that time of guiding, I worked my way up and became an instructor, trip leader, started training, staff on the river and in the backcountry. And I, back in college, I ended up working for the bookstore, the retail store, for a while. And the dean of my business school, he always told, there's like 6 stores. It's called Lewis and Clark in Northwest Arkansas. And he always told me, hey, my buddy, went to Washita. If you ever want to go work outdoor retail, let me know. Moved to Colorado, was working for a guiding service. I'm like, I will never do outdoor retail. Just not interested. And then Ben called me one day. I was like, hey, we're looking to build up some internal systems. They're kind of archaic. Are you interested? And I decided to try something new. And I guess six years later, I'm still here. So, yeah.
Sucks you in, man. Won't let you go.
Yeah.
So what kind of skills would you say are critical for somebody to develop if they want to be in a position that you're in right now?
So, I mean, some of the hard skills I use daily are just analytical skills, spreadsheets, really trying to be data driven, take emotion out, really look at the numbers. But then I also have to have some interpersonal skills, working with staff, working with store managers, all the way down to first day employee, and then also working with our owner. I think a lot of it's attitude, though. is, showing up, caring about the company you work for and the people you work with, uh, being authentic and all of that, being honest, um, knowing when to talk and when it's better just to listen. And then just having some drive, some hustle, like getting, your hands dirty and getting the job done holistically. And I think a lot of people view getting a job done as like doing the bare minimum and getting paid and leaving. And if you want to move up, if you want to excel, I think if you show you care, you can do this small task routinely. It's a couple of years ago, I had somebody come in, they're like, hey, I want more responsibility. But it's like, we have a task list and I can't trust that you sweep the floor every day at 2. Like, that's why it's not so much proving yourself, but like, I need you to pay attention to the details and do something fully and care and strive to do it. It may be monotonous, it may be boring, but that's what's required. And if you can do that, I think you can show your employer a lot. That's like, hey, I'm not the smartest, I'm not the brightest, but I can at least do what's required of me. And I think that's something that we try to teach at the Trailhead when we're reviewing our training. It's, hey, if you're here a month or 6 months or a couple of years, like, we hope that you can at least take skills of like doing your job well, getting a task done, adaptability throughout a day, but just being able to complete something. And I think that's something that's lost, as simple as it is.
Yeah.
But, retail is detail. It's all in the details. And we, as much time as we spend on front of house, cleaning the store and keeping it neat and merchandise, we spend just as much time preparing on the back end. Where is stuff stored? How fast can we get it to somebody at the footwear wall? What is it easy to find? How bad of an experience is it for someone to come in and have to wait 10 minutes for a jacket that we have still in the box in the plastic? It's not hung in order, size order. Like, once our staff start to realize, like, oh, that's why I had to spend an hour organizing this, is because when it's a Saturday in July and it's so busy, you can go find something quick and you've prepared for the people coming in. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh yeah, really well. So just be more proactive than reactive in pretty much every aspect of what you're working in, right?
Yeah, and care a little.
Care a little, yeah. So for like a student at Red Rocks who's interested in getting into outdoor retail and then moving up in outdoor retail, like, what kind of advice would you give them? Like, how much education should they have? How much work experience? What kind of work experience? All that sort of thing.
General retail experience is very helpful. Whether you're working at an outlet store in Silverthorne, or whether you're at J Crew is no longer a thing, but used to, or Patagonia downtown. Like, it's all very valuable. And just knowing the nuances of how day to day goes, how different companies have their different duties and roles. And then outdoor experience is pretty valid. And if you're trying to work in retail, it helps to be able to know the area, have spent time in product that you're either selling or similar, and be able to talk about it. Your goal is not always to sell what you like, it's to sell what will most benefit the person and their needs. So I think having that understanding of helping them try to succeed in their 14er or the raft trip or whatever, I think it's important, and knowing what those experiences are like. If you're trying to move more into the vendor world, the repping world, a lot of it is you're either selling to stores or you're going into shops and running events, marketing events, clinics. And, our last store manager, one of his first experiences in retail or in the outdoor industry is Evolve was putting on a clinic at a climbing wall, and they needed somebody to come help just pass shoes out for the day. But he got to meet, a couple reps, and it's all about the relationships. And so I would say, like, get a part-time job at Bentgate or at Vital or at Wilderness Exchange downtown, or if you're interested in retail. But I think it's good to have experience on both sides to kind of understand both sides. But then if you see there's a big event at the climbing gym, or reps are going to be around, like see if they're offering some part-time work to help run the event. And I think then you'll get to see some of the inside of what being a tech rep and being on the road is like. Yeah, it's you either have to get a job at a retail store or somehow in repping to get to know those people, to have those conversations, and to find out like what jobs are out there, because not every job's posted online on outdoorjobs.com and whatnot.
Yeah. And if anybody's watching this and are interested in like
And
checking out kind of the Death Star of outdoor industry, like if they ever have it in person again, Outdoor Retailer, like the big trade show for outdoor brands and things like that, is in Denver typically twice a year. Is it twice a year now?
Yep.
3 times? Yeah, twice a year.
Twice a year.
We can actually go to that as an organization. So if anybody's interested, let me know. But
yeah, that's a great spot to start. And they have breakout sessions. It's become turned into a marketing education event, and it's a great place to start. And the mecca of outdoor industry is basically between Golden and Boulder for the industry. La Sportiva, Ortovox, Scarpa, a lot of their North American offices are all right there in Golden.
Yeah, you can see them from the college, so which is awesome.
Yes, you can. Looks like
cool.
A standard office. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, John, we're about 47 minutes in. So I think do you have anything else you want to share with the students or with me in particular? Did we cover everything?
I think so. But yeah, if anybody's ever interested in getting into the industry, feel free to contact Ben and we can get connected. One of our staff from the summer is really interested in getting into the repping world. So we got on it. I was in Winter Park, he was in BV. We got on a call for 20 minutes and I just kind of explained what the internal world actually is and what it actually looks like and what the roles look like. And I think that kind of helped paint a picture of like, oh, I can do this, or I am interested, or maybe that's not what I quite thought it was like. So yeah, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Yeah, that's an awesome resource. So yeah, please, if you're interested, let me know and I'll get in contact with John and we can have a conversation. So John, thank you very much. Appreciate your time, man, and all your insight. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, enjoy BV, man. Good seeing you.
Thanks. Yep. See you guys. Thanks.